Hi, this is the Hotbox, telling you that this video might have some sensitive stuff in it, so take a second if you need to and go check out something else. Otherwise, please enjoy the show. This channel is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Click the link, please. I need to buy bread.
Everything's fine, got some merch in the store. It's hot, it's burning, it's trending, I'm buying. Everything's fine, got some merch in the store. I miss that outside where somebody can save me. What's he gonna do with all that stuff? You can wear it or burn it or give it to your dog. Everything's fine, got some merch in the store. It's hot, it's burning, it's trending, I'm buying.
I am convinced that no one on YouTube knows how to act in the year 2021. Like you and me, we're educated people, right? Like, we know that the sky is blue, we know that the grass is green, we know that Pokemon Coliseum was a GameCube game that still had better animations than Sword and Shield.
You don't want to be like this.
Oops. But above all, we know that victim blaming is never okay. When someone comes forward about a traumatic experience with another individual, the last thing they need, in fact, the last thing that they deserve, is suspicion. And I know we're in an age where clout is a disease and some people will lie about these kinds of things. But when the person being accused literally admits it and people still defend them, you have to frankly wonder where the disconnect is. You know, I never thought I'd dip my toes into Gacha YouTube. I always thought we were going to have that kind of relationship where we just stare dreamily at each other from across the lunchroom. But when I see a community facing danger like this, you practically have to speak up. So let's sit back, you and me, let's remember our safe words, gray and soap, and let's take a look at the Gacha YouTuber who took advantage of a 14-year-old, admitted to it, and is still being defended by fans. Let's talk about LenTotally. Welcome back to the channel, new and returning, young and old, fans, haters, animators, and everyone in between. If you are new here, why not subscribe? It's quick, it's easy, it just takes a second, and you can always undo it, but it really does help out a lot, so thank you. So who is LenTotally, you might ask? Well, Len is what's known as a Gacha tuber. Gacha tubers make content inside the game Gacha Life. It's a game where you can dress up, personalize characters, make them say things. A lot of people use it to create short animations. Some are good, some are kinda out there. But it's always cool to see people being inspired. And if Len had maybe stayed in his lane and not let his twisted desires poison his content, then today we would have been talking about him in a more positive light. But no. Unfortunately, Len has gone silent and even deleted his Twitter. But what are the charges against him? Well, recently, a 14-year-old child from the Gacha community came forward, stating that Len had manipulated and grayed her, and provided video evidence, as well as screenshots, which, by the way, totally repulsive. Before I read you some of these, remember that this is a 20-year-old man, talking to a minor, a child. Oh, I see. Do continue, ooh-woo. Cause I might just around, might on them too. The victim says, sweet to H word real quick. Len says, you complaining? The victim says, nope, continue. Len, I think it would be easier if I shut you up with my own mouth. I don't know about your mouth, but my mouth is about to blow its breakfast. Len goes into great detail about his RP. You can tell that there's been an exchange of material here, by the way, because the victim says, I'll chat to you later, gonna take a shower. Len says, another video might be nice. Oh god, LOL. Considering the context, one is to assume that he's talking about videos or pictures of a soap nature from a minor. And that, my friends, is a big F in the chat. F for felony. Len is demanding. He says, you would like a video later. Also, and then when they can't answer his call, the victim says, I can do a video tomorrow. Len says, aw, I thought I could enjoy one tonight. Thoughts? Well, let me tell you something about your thoughts. Your thoughts make as much sense as a scuba diver with cement shoes. Because why and how on earth do you possibly consider that saying these things to a child is okay? You have a brain, you can work these things through. And I see so many people saying, well, couldn't she have just said no? It's never that easy. Oh yes, let me tell the person in a situation of an imbalanced power dynamic to just say no. Oh my god, and you know all those people who are homeless? They should just buy a house. You know all those people starving? They should just eat food. Oh, and maybe the nearly 500,000 victims each year in the US should just say no too. You insensitive airheads. I shouldn't even call you the candy because you ain't near half as sweet. Not to mention that this individual exists in the age range of the highest risk for this kind of crime. But there is a power imbalance, and we've seen it so many times with YouTubers even just over this year. Individuals taking advantage of being someone that a person looks up to. They know that they hold that control. Guess what? They get off on that. They think that they can do whatever they want just because they have a big number in front of their name. You know it's an even more powerful number though? 25 to life. So what did I mean earlier when I say that Len admits to it? Well, guess what? Len made a community post on his YouTube. Now he deleted it shortly after, but I have some screenshots from another video. I'll credit that video in the description. But let's listen to what the human slug has to say for themselves. Len, as much as I hate drama, it's not going to end well for me. I'm highly aware. Okay, right off the bat, then why are you making this post? Though again, my side is always part of this. The evidence is true as much as I regret it. I did such things to someone. I'm sure the majority won't be on my side this time. No one should be on your side. You just admitted to manipulating a child. Hey, you guys might not like me, but I kind of took advantage of a minor. But remember, there's my part of the story. Yeah, just one question, Len. Can you find me who asked? Len says, anyways, enough of that. Let me begin. Let me just call this person a her. I really have no intention to fall or like younger people than me. But this really started with that. I'm not the one who initiated, since it's so repetitive that it got out of hand. She started the flirting and ILYs. I shrugged it off at first. But yeah, it slowly got out of hand after that. Newsflash, it doesn't matter who starts it, whether they send the first message or you do. What matters is that you have control in the situation. You know how dedicated this person is. They aren't just going to say no. If they made the initial contact, then the ball is in your court, Len. Len says, then she bridged me to her friends and we all got close. I simply trusted them, so I connected and bonded with them, even if, from my perspective, it's pretty wrong. Sometimes their topics didn't really fit their age group, but I didn't think much of it at that time. I'm just there joining them to fit in. Why do you want to fit in with a group of 14-year-olds? Like, listen, I understand people having friends outside of their age group, alright? That's how things happen in this world. And sometimes it's okay. But when it's under this context, when there's definitely a romantic subtext, it strays away from the category of wholesome and more towards the category of, what the fuck are you thinking? Len says, so I trusted her. You can actually clearly see how close I am with them through our past videos. I have evidence myself, but it won't be enough to fight against that. So Child Grey, I didn't really reach that point that I'm affecting her life in a bad way. It was simply just me and her. The thing is that we were really open about each other, and I have evidence of that. I guess my mistake is simply going with it until it got out of hand. Your mistake is so much more than that. Listen, you might not think that you're affecting someone's life in a bad way, but guess what? When you are engaging in a relationship with someone who is far younger than you, with someone that looks up to you like that, when you make them send videos, pictures, and pressure them to hop on call or do things with you. Newsflash, you are affecting them in a bad way. You are laying trauma on top of them. Trauma, that I might add, that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. So pardon me for being a little bit more than heated, but your mistake is not simply going with it. Your mistake is being denser than a sack of potatoes. The next part is sort of cut off by this character, but I don't believe that it takes away from the post itself. Len says, there are multiple points that I stayed away from that friendship, because I'm highly aware of how wrong it is. We sometimes get into fights because of that, be distant from each other until we just cut ties at one point. Oh my god, it's like those squirrels in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I'm knocking on his head. I'm trying to find out if there's anything in there, but he's just a bad nut. Because if you openly admit that you're aware of how wrong things are, then you also tacitly admit that you are complicit in playing along with this, that you did this because you earned some gratification out of it, even knowing that it's wrong. And that's disgusting. If you realize how wrong it is, then please tell me, where's the disconnect? Where inside of you does it click and say, oh yeah, I can manipulate this 14-year-old. It's all cool. She likes me. Why wouldn't it be cool? Well, guess what, Len? She might like you, but I don't like you. With this kind of behavior, I don't think a raccoon would eat you if you were mold on a cracker. Len goes on to say, I don't really do these things to anyone I meet. I really have no intention of doing these actions. And says something about treating people as adults. You can subscribe and or hate on me and interview me in the comments about the matter. I'll respond to comments that I've read. But fun story, doesn't look like Len's responding to anything because all he has now is a post that said, I'm sorry, I'll take full responsibility of my actions. But listen, Len, deleting community posts, deleting your Twitter, and not making any kind of formal apology to the girl in any format, that doesn't seem like taking responsibility. That seems like trying to fly under the radar. The way you're handling this, it looks like you're planning to stay within the community. You talk about changing for the better, but apparently this isn't the first time that you've been accused of this kind of thing. People always want to change, right? And I don't doubt that you might be feeling that right now, Len. But you seem like someone who would very easily default to their habits. You don't seem to be dedicating yourself to change. Ignore these comments about forgiving you. You are catering to a younger audience. Some people might not get the gravity of this situation. They might not understand how wrong this is. So let me see if I can speak to those people right now. What Len has done will have repercussions on this child's mental health for years. This will be something that they grow up with, that they sustain throughout their adult life, that will stay with them for years and can impact the relationships that they have with their family or their loved ones or future partners, all in a negative way. And if you think that it's okay for someone to endure that kind of pain in their real life, while someone else on the internet with a bunch of YouTube subscribers gets to live free and happy and keep making his money, then I frankly don't know what to tell you. This is a serious situation. Imagine if you had been in their shoes, right? The person that you've watched and looked up to, that you have so much respect for, making you feel special like that. I can easily see how some people fall into it, especially if you might already be feeling lonely or scared. I know that in times like this, it's incredibly easy to feel that way, but you should never let another person become the sole validation for your strength. Let me tell you this, if no one has told you it already, the fact that you are here, that you are alive right now, for as long as you are, is a miracle. It is something that you should be incredibly proud of, even if you might have moments where you don't want to be alive at all. Because you're doing it, you're persevering, you're waking up every day when some people don't. And if no one has told you that they're proud of you, then let me say it. I'm proud of you, and I love you. And you should love yourself too. Listen, to those of you wondering why the victim didn't speak up sooner, please consider the fact that they might have tried other avenues. Consider the fact that they have a fear of consequences on them, even though that they have nothing to be guilty about. Think of that feeling of guilt, of wanting to speak up against someone with such a huge platform, and all of the nasty, horrible, hideous things that ignorant people will say to you. That fear of not being believed can be crushing. But you know what's even scarier to me? Nearly 70% of these kinds of offenders have between 1 and 9 victims, and at least 20% have 10 to 40. So it makes me worry that this might not be the only person with an experience with Len. And I encourage you that if you yourself have an experience with this person, please share it in the comments. Now, what I can't stand for are these kinds of comments that I'm going to show you right now. People saying things like, after watching the video, I've started to think more about the mental age. The victim's messages show that she wanted this. It's just because she's 14, people are making excuses for her and are disregarding the possibility of her being in the wrong.
What?
Like, I'm sorry, I think it's literally because of the fact that she's 14, that she's not in the wrong here. You want to talk about mental age? Well, guess what? I don't know what kind of twilight zone that you fell into. This is about physical age. This is about a person who clearly knew better and still continued to do this to a minor. Because guess what? She was being manipulated to do that. They're doing it because of the power imbalance. Yeah, maybe they wanted this, but that does not excuse Len for playing into it. We see things like, after looking at the screenshots, it seems like the victim is going with it. So I think she's not considered as a victim if she wasn't forced or she willingly sent those videos. Are you kidding me? I just want to know, who are any of these people to claim forgiveness on behalf of not only the victim, but the law? Just because a victim goes with something does not disqualify their status as a victim. Explicit force and implicit force. These are two different things. Explicit force would be like forcibly and physically taking advantage of someone. Implicit force is the subtle manipulation tactics, or at least that's what I like to call it, because it's this looming threat, right? It's this looming pressure of, I'm a big content creator. Don't you love me? Don't you want to show me that you love me? And of course, someone vulnerable is going to go along with it. And that's sad. People need to be raised to understand the signs of these things. Listen, Len has confessed to us and to his friends. Stop blaming the victim. People are saying that the victim forgave Len, quote unquote. But this isn't about a person forgiving another person. This is about a crime. This is about a fact that a person who would commit this crime would still continue to have a platform. And that makes no sense to me. Someone says, tisk tisk, not all victims are victims at all. Sometimes people gotta learn that some mistakes are also their fault. Well, you sure made a mistake by leaving this comment, now didn't you? Everyone makes mistakes, but this is pretty black and white. This isn't about shifting the blame to anyone. The sole responsibility, the blame, the crime lands on the shoulders of the adult in this situation. And ding ding ding, that's our boy Len. You know, Len, I'm repulsed. I can hardly find the words for this, because despite the fact that you chose to exist in a sphere that is largely inhabited by a younger audience, and still found it acceptable to do these things in private or not, it's hideous. It only leads me to believe that you are absent of any kind of cognitive thinking ability, because to do this and to think that you're justified in any way, no matter what kind of confirmation bias, that is some head empty, brain off kind of stuff. Len, if you want to take responsibility for this, then don't come back. I mean it. Look, I know cancel culture is a storm in 2021, but this is something more severe than that. This is about the existence of someone who threatens to endanger other minors in a very active community. Gacha is huge on YouTube. That means a bigger pool of potential victims for Len, should he decide to come back under his channel name or under a different name. To all of the people blaming the victim, or telling people to stop blaming Len, I want you to put this image in your head, because it's something that helps me gain perspective sometimes. Imagine if that person was your little brother or your little sister. Really, just imagine that it's anyone close to you that you love. Imagine if that was someone that you grew up with, that you saw never do anything wrong in the world, be taken advantage of by someone like this. And imagine the pain when they look in your eyes and they try and tell you that it's all okay. If you can put that picture in your head and still consciously blame victims, then congratulations, you don't have a heart. So I think let's send this off by telling Len what we think. Now, he's disabled comments on a lot of his videos, but not here on the community post, so let's see what we can do about that. Hey Len, I bet you put more effort into typing these few lines of text than you did apologizing to anyone you may have hurt in your life. You want to take responsibility but can't even say sorry? That's like me spitting in your spaghetti, telling you I'll say sorry, and then dragging my balls across it. You made people feel more betrayed than the second season of Promised Neverland, and then seem to believe that you can slither back in here like Ted Cruz slipping into his human skin in the morning. An apology isn't hard at all, but you make it seem like taking the Mensa test on horse tranquilizers. I'll bet your accidental delete was about as accidental as my dad not using protection that one night on a beach in Florida with my mom. If there's any advice that I can give you, learn your orange jumpsuit size and maybe hit up John Podesta, because if anyone can hide evidence of manipulating children, it's that guy. And comment. I think that covers everything I can on the situation, so I would like to thank you for watching. If you are at all affected by this, my heart goes out to you. And if you appreciated the video, why not leave it a like and share it around? Help spread the word. Whenever you're watching this, I hope you have a good rest of your day and an even better tomorrow. I love you. And before you say it back, look in the mirror and say it to yourself. I will see you in the next episode of whatever I make. And until then, this has been the Hot Box. Bye!
I'm on life support now. No reason, just felt like it.